Well, let's talk about a faith challenge number 6. You see, we have my will, and then we have His will. Well, this faith challenge, it would be really, really easy if I could just convince God to just go along with what I want Him to do. If I could persuade Him that what I want is really a good thing, is really the right thing, is really what He needs to do, faith would be a piece of cake. Because I could just simply say, God, I want this. And He would say, okay. I don't think it works that way. I believe faith is more about me looking at the will of God and saying, you want me to do what? What is your will, God? What is it that you are challenging me to do? The way you want me to think? The way you want me to live? How you want me to talk? How you want me to act? You mean it's all about your will, Father? I said, yeah. It's all about my will. There was a couple of blind men begging Jesus to heal them. And Jesus asked them a very, very strange question. He says, what do you want? Well, wasn't it obvious? They wanted to be healed. That was their will. And then they said something to Him that was also equally strange, and that is, if you're willing. And Jesus said, yeah, I'm willing. But what if Jesus had not been willing to heal them? What if what they were asking for had been totally out of the question because it was not in alignment with His will? I hear people many times, they'll come to me and with a difficult situation in their life, and they're trying to figure out, what does God want me to do? They're people of faith. They're trying to figure out the faith step that they need to take. And I will often listen and try to understand where they are and where they're coming from and what it is that they think that they ought to do. And sometimes I'm surprised at what they come up with. And I'll question them about it. How did you come to this conclusion that that's what God wanted you to do? Often they will say, well, I prayed about it. I said, okay. I'm glad you did that. And so tell me, when you prayed about it, God told you that this is what He wanted you to do? They would often answer, well, I kind of got that impression. That's kind of what He wanted me to do. And then I would open the Bible up and I would say, but read this right here. Does this sound like the will of God? Now, one of the two things is going to happen at that point. They're either going to deal very seriously with what I put before them, and they're going to have to rethink their position. Or they're going to conveniently ignore what I've just showed them, and they're going to go with their gut. My will or His will? You see, until I can determine what God's will is, how do I know how to apply my faith? Faith is about trusting God by doing His will. Do you get that? Faith is about trusting God by doing His will. That when God tells me that this is what I need to do, I have to decide, do I believe him? Do I trust him? And if I am willing, then my will comes into an alignment with his will. And that's where faith operates. It operates within the will of God. It's kind of like those spaceships. When this shuttle came and began to dock with the space station, those things have to come together perfectly and lock together. When that's where you are in your spiritual life, when your will is locking in with God's will, boy, that's a strong combination. Your will be done in heaven. No, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Faith challenge to apply the will of God first before you even think about your will. Think about that.